Hello you, welcome back to part number 11 of Planet Coaster 50 by 50 series. In today's episode I will be building a roller coaster, and not just any roller coaster. I will be adding a B&M invert. I wasn't sure if I could fit this big of a coaster into the park, but actually I managed really well. And this coaster has 4 inversions, some twists and turns, and the ride turned out super good. I used the space that was left really well. I put down a layout that is super nice. It has some twists. It has, as I mentioned, 4 inversions. And the ride itself is pretty impressive to be inside such a small park. One problem that I found out pretty quickly was that I had to use the space where the path was originally. So that's why I'm building the coaster, and then I will delete and rebuild the path in. Another problem was that the track interfered a bit with the RMC coaster in the background, so I had to change that coaster as well to be able to fit this new roller coaster into the park. But I mean, stuff like this can happen anywhere in any park. I mean, let's say they built the RMC 8 years ago, for instance, and then they decided to add this one. Of course, they can change the layout of the RMC to be able to squeeze this coaster in, because parks, they are all about the new rides. They want us to stay relevant, and they do what it takes to be able to put new cool rides into the park. At first I tried different coaster models, but it turned out this was the best option. Since this is an invert, the layout can still run over the path without it being super crowded with supports and restricted areas under the track. And it's actually funny because once I was done with this, I realized that this station of a B&M invert is just next to the family inverted coaster. So you can just imagine all the kids are at first being scared of this big coaster, so they start off with the smaller one and they find it super fun, and once they get older they will eventually ride this bad boy. So as I mentioned, I had to adjust the path to be able to fit the coaster into the trench that I built. So there will still be a path connecting these areas together, but it will be smaller, and there will be a lot of coaster supports blocking the view. In this episode I will also show you how I custom support the track, since the B&M invert coasters have this specific type of supports, especially around the loops, that you will see me build in just a moment. Furthermore, I chose some darker color scheme for this roller coaster, so I went with the black track with the red rails, and on top of that I decided to have yellow supports just to give it a different look besides of the other coasters in the park that is super vibrant in colors, and this one is a bit more toned down, yet it looks super good. I built the track the same way that I used to do. I built most of the parts in 6-meter pieces, and then I smoothed the track a couple of times. I always over exaggerate all the bankings and the curves and stuff like that, because the smoothing takes away a lot of these elements. And then I delete 2 parts and I auto-complete the track, just as I do with all the coasters basically. And one fun fact when you're building a 0G roll in a B&M invert is to put the banking offset to -1 or -2 to maintain the correct sweeping motion and maintain the heart line in the 0G roll. As mentioned, I needed to rebuild the RMC coaster since the supports for the loops and the Cobra roll interfered with the old track, so I needed to rebuild it. Actually, it turned out super nice anyway. I just put in a few more hills, and if I remember correctly, actually the stats for this new rebuilt version of the RMC was slightly better than the old one. So, I mean, there's always something good that comes with the bad, or whatever the saying is, something along those lines. So here I'm doing the custom supporting. I checked a lot of pictures of this specific model of roller coasters, and it seemed like in the lift hill they usually have different supports than the rest of the layout. I mainly checked out the Batman clone since they are one of my favorite B&M invert, but then I added these regular, pretty thick supports along the remainder of the track. Because you can imagine the train has 7 carts with 4 seats on each cart. You can fit 28 people on this ride. That is some pretty heavy load on the track. When I do custom supporting, I take a good look on the pictures from the original coaster types, and then I build several types of supports that are used throughout the track. And then I make almost like a blueprint of it. I built it and I connect all the pieces together, group them, and then I can copy and paste throughout the whole track as I'm doing here. And then you just make minor adjustments, you turn them, and you increase or decrease the height, and then if you need, you can add an extra support or you can take away some of the supports. But as long as you have these blueprints ready, you can just copy paste, and it saves you a lot of time and a lot of effort. At first, I didn't want to show you the whole process of the custom supporting because it is time wasting and it can be a bit boring to just look at. But at the same time, I wanted to include it in the video because hopefully you can learn something from this video and incorporate it in your own game when you're playing Planet Coaster, just to make things easier for you. I'm slowly going to wrap up this episode, and before I do that, I will show you the coaster running one time, and then I will, of course, include a front row POV so you all can enjoy this awesome roller coaster. That's it for this episode. I really hope that you enjoyed it and that you have learned something from it. And I hope to see you in the next episode. Thank you all for watching and take care.